Hello enthusiasts, and welcome to this new video from the website www.moonwatch.for. First of all, I wanted to wish you all a very happy 2022. Even though Rolex has just announced its price increase, we ended the year 2021 with a very beautiful timepiece and Omega Speedmaster Moonphase. And we had to start this new year 2022 with an equally exceptional piece, a Girard Perregaux Laureato Chronograph, a very chic model, really very nice, probably one of the most beautiful pieces in my collection. Let's go. The Girard Perregaux watch is an automatic chronograph that relies on the genetic code of the Swiss brand. A direct heir of the Laureato, released 43 years ago, this chronograph watch is a serious challenger to chic chrono sport watches. An interesting alternative to the Rolex Daytona and other chic chronos, this Girard Perregaux timepiece incorporates the codes that made the Laureato range successful. Case with specific shapes, octagonal bezel, in-house movement, integrated bracelet, and so on. After the announcements from Audemars Piguet with its Royal Oak and Patek Philippe with its Nautilus, it was in 1975 that Girard Perregaux presented its first, the Laureato. The design was entrusted to an Italian architect. No copy of Girard Laureato. I'm not really sure what. Here, it's an Italian designer who conceived the first sketches of the Laureato, the first references in a case with a quartz caliber, an obligatory step-pass following the famous quartz crisis that affected the Swiss watch industry in the 1970s. Available in two diameters, 38 meters, 42 meter. Here, it's a 42 meter. The Laureato Chrono is above all a versatile watch that has nothing to envy from the leader of the chic sports chronograph segment. Moreover, it won the Booker Watch Award in 2018, so it is an award-winning model. A watch brand not widely publicized in France, Girard Perregaux is nonetheless an important name in Swiss watchmaking. Available in several versions, the Laureato Chrono was announced in 2016. So it's still a watch, quite recent. It guarantees impeccable chronometry, perfect comfort, and an aesthetic that will not go unnoticed. Let's look at the technical specifications of this Girard Perregaux Laureato Chronograph. It's a watch from 2021. The first versions of the chronograph are from 2016. It's more of a men's watch, especially in this version with a 42mm diameter and just under 12mm thickness. The entire case and bracelet are made of 904L steel. The movement is a manufacture caliber. Girard Perregaux, which is marked as JP03300 of 63, 0.3300 of the 63 euros, rubies, and oscillates at 28,800 beats per hour. The watch is water resistant up to 100 meters, which is quite good for a sports chronograph. It features a fixed hexagonal bezel and two complications, the date and the chronograph. The case of the watch, Girard Perregaux Laureato Chronograph, is made of 904L steel and measures 42 mm in diameter with an exact thickness of 11.9 mm. The steel used is more resistant to corrosion than the traditional 316L, which is found on a large majority of watches. Furthermore, it can withstand a higher level of polishing. Next, there is an octagonal bezel, typical of the collection. Girard Perregaux Laureato. In photographs or on video, it may seem strange, but honestly, once you have the watch on your wrist, you immediately notice the elegance of this Laureato line. Some critics see a similarity with the Royal Oak, designed by Gerald Genta. However, the shape is quite different. The bezel is not screwed down. There are other details. Personally, I find that this GP Laureato is very geometric in its lines, and the octagonal bezel with the round base reminds me of the Vitruvian Man. Tell me what you think about it. What do you think of this design? Continuing on, we find a signed crown and two screwed pushers. These two pushers are very pleasant to use with perfect firmness. Next, there is a case back screwed down in U with 6 screws, ensuring water resistance up to 100 meters. On it, you can read the inscriptions. Girard Perregaux, 330 feet, 100 meters, steel, as well as the serial and reference numbers. So, this Girard Perregaux chrono is available in several dial colors and various materials. I chose the steel version, primarily for cost reasons, because when you start getting into precious metals, it inflates the bill. As I was saying, there are several dial versions, and for me, it's in this version with a silver white dial and dark subdials that I find it the most elegant. The dial of this watch is almost panda-like, and it features a clou de Paris pattern that constantly plays with the light. It is constantly attracting light and reflections. It's quite incredible. Honestly, this dial is magnificent. I will try to show it to you. It's certain that on video it won't look the same. I will also show you by cutting off the light source. Truly a very, very beautiful dial. Secondly, we have hands that are blued just like the indices. Again, the color can shift from a very light blue to a deep black depending on the light exposure. It's quite incredible. I have watches with blued effects on the hands on the indices on the screws. I've never seen these reflections on any watch. It's really very pretty. The subdials arranged at 3, 6, 9 are not left out, because we find a circular texture that gives a bit of depth to the watch. I think this texture plays very well. It harmonizes very well with the clou de Paris pattern. From the rest of the dial, by the way. The color, a reminder. The color of the Rehaut, we find the black of the Rehaut. It's a reminder, it's quite harmonious. The readability of the watch is excellent. The watch is functional both day and night, as the luminescent material is applied on the indices and hands and lasts for several hours. So, luminescent product of excellent quality. To finish, there is a sapphire crystal with an anti-reflective coating that protects the dial. Honestly, the anti-reflective coating is not great. I would have preferred a more advanced anti-reflective treatment to give the impression that there is no glass at all. So, Girard Perregaux is one of the watch brands that impress us with some of their exhibition calibers, exceptional calibers. Ultimately, if we look a little closer, there are very few watchmaking houses that develop and design movements as beautiful, which have become true works of art. So, obviously, in this case, the Laureato Chronograph, the movement is much simpler. We are not dealing with watchmaking goldsmithing, although we are getting very close. But this caliber remains interesting nonetheless. It is the Girard Perregaux GP03-300, which has an automatic movement equipped with 63 joules. It oscillates at 2800 beats per hour and offers a power reserve of 46 hours. It required no less than 435 components to be able to assemble this movement. Two interesting features with this watch: the chronograph complication, of course, and the date complication located at pin 430. Usually watches with an integrated bracelet into the case are aesthetically successful. It's much more harmonious since there is no day or anything like that. However, it's a whole different story when it comes to discussing the comfort of these watches, specifically the assembly of the case components. The bracelet is perfect, or it's quite the opposite. And in this case, the watch is not really wearable and it's not pleasant to wear. With this Laureato chronograph, Girard Perregaux deserves its reputation as a master watchmaker. It's simple. This Swiss watch is the most comfortable one I own. I have several watches of various kinds, all genres, all types, all sizes. This Girard Perregaux and the teeth on the wrist, how pleasant is it? Once the bracelet was adjusted to my wrist, the watch sits perfectly on the forearm without being too loose or too tight. We are close to perfection in terms of comfort. The bracelet is made of steel. It is splendid and characterized by rather wide satin-finished links and domed polished interlinks. This mix between satin and polish adds depth, while providing a certain flexibility to the bracelet, which ensures comfort. It should be noted that the Girard Perregaux Laureato can also be fitted with a leather strap, but honestly, how beautiful it is on the steel bracelet. The only interest in the leather strap is to convert this sporty chic watch into a dress watch. Regarding the clasp, it is a double butterfly clasp engraved with JP. So, it closes perfectly and opens superbly. Quite frankly, it's a very, very beautiful execution. Thank you. Regarding the packaging, the Girard Perregaux Laureato watch comes in a sublime precious wood box that is branded Girard Perregaux. This box opens with a push button, which is also very nice. The whole is protected by an outer cardboard box. The box and the outer box are quite imposing. Inside you only find beauty. You find a kind of lining, Alcantara type that is flocked, really very soft. You can tell its quality, right? It's not a cheap, inexpensive fabric. Look at the smallest details of the box with gears like that dancing. It's really very, very beautiful. The box is truly sublime. Once again, it must be one of the most beautiful boxes I have. I'm not a fan of big boxes, but this one, I must admit, is really very, very, very beautiful. Underneath, you can lift it up and you find a compartment that allows you to store the warranty card, for example. Under the box, you'll find the watch's user manual and various information. The whole set is really very, very well crafted. It's very, very nice. Regarding the price, Girard Perregaux offers this Laureato Chrono 42mm at a public price of about 14,000 euros. I believe it's $800, so approximately 14,000 euros. This confirms that Girard Perregaux wants to compete with the most well-known brands and take on the leaders of the current chic chronograph market. As a result, the price is close to that of the Cosmograph Daytona, but it is well below the prices offered and applied by, for example, Audemars or Patek for their Aquanaut Chrono. Well, that kind of world. Obviously, we are looking at a price close to that of the competition, notably the Daytona Chrono. With one big difference though, which is that getting a Daytona Chrono in-store is going to be very complicated. Rolex's crappy policy, but we all know it, we're all fed up with it. And frankly, that's what led me to choose this model. I was tired of waiting and I don't want to satisfy the joyful speculation of some. So compared to the competition, negotiation is also more easily achievable at a Girard Perregaux retailer. It's not uncommon to get 10-15% off the public price, which makes this Laureato Chrono a highly desirable choice. On the second-hand market, you can also find some Laureato Chronos, and they are negotiated at 10,000 euros, 12,000 euros. The value seems to be holding steady. It has been stable for a few years now. And as a result, this also gives the watch great potential, since the value is no longer decreasing. And it's quite likely that the value will increase because at Girard Perregaux there are starting to be waiting lists for certain models. So maybe a great investment, I have no doubt about it. In any case, it's a fantastic watch. The luxury sports chic watch sector is highly competitive. Usually there are 3 brands that are mentioned: Rolex, Audemars, Patek, but there are others. Behind them, Girard Perregaux, Lang, Ozone, etc. So, other watchmaking houses offer alternatives that are just as interesting and high quality as Rolex or those other brands. Girard Perregaux, with its Laureato, is among these challengers. Unlike some other brands, Girard Perregaux watches can be purchased at the retail price, or even below. The mere fact that the Laureato is available and more easily accessible is a huge advantage. People are fed up with the watch speculation on all Rolex models just because it's called Rolex. It's completely stupid. Here, we have a watch that is truly original, pleasant, and very well designed. It's sleek, with a date, whereas the Cosmograph still doesn't have a date. In short, all the details of this Chrono Laureato have been meticulously thought out. The case, the bezel, the exceptional integrated bracelet, the tapestry dial, the buttons, screw-down pushers, etc. I had a lot of apprehension about this watch manufacturer because I didn't know it. I only knew 2 names. I had seen a few photos, but I had never held a model in my hands. It was less known than other brands, less publicized, as they have a budget like I think many other brands do, and as a result, I had a bit of apprehension. But honestly, I do not regret this purchase at all. As you might expect, this Laureato Chrono is truly exceptional. Even when I try to find negative points, while remaining objective, I find it difficult to do so. The only negative point, which is common to many watches in this sports segment, elegant, is that it's a watch that tends to scratch quite easily, especially the bezel. But apart from that, it's just fantastic. To be honest, this automatic watch has made me somewhat forget my Zenith Daytona. And that's not insignificant because, let's be honest, Rolex's policy is crap. However, their Daytona is an incredible model, which fits perfectly with almost perfect dimensions. For me, this Laureato is one of the few watches that can compete with the Daytona at an equivalent retail price. It is undoubtedly one of my favorite watches, and the classic non-chronograph version could one day be a great purchase, perhaps to replace my Epic Fortefenset, or to replace a more classic three-hand dress watch. The review is coming to an end. Remember to subscribe if you haven't already, friends. Give a thumbs up or click on subscribe. Leave me a comment. What do you think of this brand? What do you think of this watch? How do you find it? Does this octagonal bezel appeal to you? Or on the contrary, do you find it coarse and dislike it? Feel free to tell me if you plan to buy one or if you know someone who has one. As an alternative to the Daytona, I think it's one of the most beautiful watches currently. What do you think about it? A little comment, I would be happy to respond to you. Otherwise, as usual, we're on Insta, Twitter, Facebook. Subscribe, it helps the channel. And I'll see you soon in the next video. Bye, friends.